All right, so let's unpack this Truth Social thing. Like, how does it even work? How is it doing? And like, what impact could it even have?
Welcome back, everyone. Today we are doing a deep dive all about
former President
building
Trump could
a
profit
strong
from Truth
personal
Social.
brand.
But it's not just another social media
Yes,
platform,
it's
right? This
super
was
important,
tied to a former
especially in
president.
2024,
And like his business
more than
ventures.
ever before.
So that's got to
even.
add like a whole other layer
We actually
of
have a
intrigue.
single source
and
for
it's
you
pretty
today.
interesting how
Single
Truth
source,
Social came
okay.
It's
about.
a
Like, it ties
YouTube
right back
video
to
by Adam
after
Earhart
the January
called
6th
5
Capitol
Steps
riots.
to Build a Strong
Trump
Personal
was
Brand
banned
in
from those
2024
mainstream
platforms.
Catchy title.
like Twitter
It
and Facebook.
is. And I think that
a
this
lot
is
of
going to
people
be
saw
really
that as this,
useful
like,
to
turning
anyone,
point.
whether you
For
are
how
an
those companies do
entrepreneur,
it.
an
Well, let's just say
influencer, or just somebody who
controversial
really
figures.
wants
Yeah,
to
like
level
Truth
up
Social just kind of
their
pops up in
professional
early
presence.
2022.
Make a bigger impact.
Like
Yeah, make a
founded by
bigger
Trump
impact,
and his
exactly.
partners. It's like a direct
I think
response
some of the key
to those
takeaways
bans.
from this
Like
that
a
I
way
thought
for
were
him to
really
just get
interesting
back online.
were, did you know
and
that
connect with his
most
base.
people,
Like without all those
Most
restrictions he
people.
had on those
they
other
want to
platforms.
see more video
And,
content
you know, they
from
really
people that they
marketed it
follow.
as like this haven
And then
for free
there's
speech.
also
Yeah.
this
appealing
link,
to,
and this
like,
is really
conservative
interesting,
audience.
between
a more conservative
showing
audience
up
Yeah.
consistently,
who felt like, you know, their voices
like
weren't
you're
being heard
doing
doing
on
right
those
every
other
week.
platforms.
and building
Yeah,
trust.
it was totally positioned as like
that makes
this
sense.
fight
And it goes back to
against
when?
big tech
caveman
censorship.
days.
And like when you actually
Oh,
look
wow.
at the
We're gonna get
platform
primal.
itself,
We are going to get
it's so similar
primal.
to
I'm
Twitter,
really
like
excited about
truths
this.
instead
But
of
before
tweets.
we get to the
retweets
caveman
instead of
stuff,
retweets.
Okay.
It's pretty
I do
much
wanna
the whole
throw it to
bit.
you
Like they
to
designed
kinda
it to
set
feel
the stage
familiar,
about
Right.
you know, to those
why
users
Mhm.
this
migrating
even
from those other
Yeah, why
platforms.
personal
Yeah,
branding
so it
matters.
seems like
Why
they've got the
personal
platform,
branding
they're
matters.
attracting
it's
an
funny
audience,
because I
at
think
least within a
when
certain
a
like,
lot of
demographic.
people think of
But
personal
how is
brand-
Truth Social actually doing, like as a business? Because this CNBC video kind of makes it seem like it's not exactly setting the world on fire. Well, if you're just talking numbers, it's been a bit of a struggle. They make most of their money through ads, like most other social media platforms. But in June 2024, they only had like 5.3 million visits, compared to Twitter's 7.3 billion and Facebook's 15.3 billion. This is according to SimilarWeb.
Whoa, okay, so like a slight difference there.
Yeah, and that difference is reflected in their revenue too. Like in the first quarter of 2024, they only brought in $770,000. But to put that into perspective, Meta made over $35 billion during that same time period.
Wow, that's crazy. It's a huge difference. And they haven't really been transparent with their user data either, like with stuff like daily active users. So it's kind of hard to figure out like how they're actually performing. But here's where things get interesting. Despite these kind of like lackluster numbers, their parent company, Trump Media and Technology Group, or TMTG, went public through a SPAC merger.
Yeah, that happened in late March 2024. And you know, for anyone who doesn't know, a SPAC, or a special purpose acquisition company, it's basically a shell company that raises money through an IPO. And their goal is to acquire a private company, which in this case was TMTG.
Okay, so basically it's just a faster way to go public.
Exactly. But despite those like super low revenue figures we talked about, TMTG's market cap shot up to like $6 billion by the end of the first quarter. Analysts were totally confused. Like it made no sense based on their actual financial performance.
Yeah, so what's making the valuation so high then?
Well, a lot of people think it's that meme stock thing. We've seen it a lot in recent years where a bunch of retail investors, a lot of whom are also like big Trump supporters, are basically driving up the stock price. TMTG says they have over 600,000 retail investors holding their stock. So it seems like it's less about like traditional investment logic and more about like sentiment, loyalty, and maybe even some faith that Trump can turn things around.
Okay, so how does all of this actually affect Trump's personal finances? Because this CNBC video seems to focus on how he could profit from this whole venture.
Well, as of June 2024, Trump owned about 65% of TMTG, which is valued at like $3.9 billion. And that doesn't even include like his potential warrant options. So yeah, there's a huge potential for profit there.
So basically a platform that's like totally against big tech and against Wall Street ends up benefiting from those exact systems. It really makes you think.
It definitely does. It shows how complicated things really are, like the relationship between politics and finance and social media in today's world. And it makes us wonder about the impact Truth Social could have, not just financially, but like on the political landscape.
Yeah, because this isn't just like another social media platform that's trying to like get more users. It's about a former president with a huge and loyal following who now has this platform and could have a lot of political influence.
It's like he has this direct line to his base now. He can just bypass the mainstream media and control the narrative.
Yeah, that control becomes a lot stronger. When you think about echo chambers, we know Truth Social is for a specific audience, like people who already have a certain set of beliefs.
And in those echo chambers, there's not really a lot of pushback against stuff that could be misleading or false. It's just easier for that stuff to spread.
Yeah, that's what worries me. Like all this misinformation just spreading unchecked. CNBC even said there's like a correlation between Trump's posts on Truth Social and trending hashtags on other platforms.
Right. So even people who aren't on Truth Social are still seeing the stuff that comes from there. It spills over into the rest of the internet, and it affects the overall political conversation.
So it's almost like Truth Social is this amplifier,
Huh.
even though it doesn't have that many users.
Exactly. And when you think about the fact that 2024 is an election year, that amplification becomes even more important.
Yeah, because this isn't just about like changing the narrative. It's about possibly influencing voters. Like, could this platform be used to get people to support certain policies or to get people to vote or even target certain groups with specific messages?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It could be a really powerful tool for political campaigning, especially in a close race where every vote matters.
And remember, there's that lockup agreement where early investors, like Trump, can't sell their shares until September 2024. So depending on how the stock does, there could be a huge financial gain right before the election.
That's true. And if Truth Social can actually get his base to vote and affect the election, it could really solidify its position as the main platform for conservative voices, and maybe even inspire other platforms to be created around certain ideologies.
That's an interesting thought, but also kind of scary. Like, are we heading towards a more divided internet with all these echo chambers, just reinforcing what people already believe? Or is there hope for platforms that are more inclusive and can bridge those divides?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's complicated, and there aren't any easy answers. But it's something we need to talk about and think about.
Definitely. So while we're thinking about all that, let's focus back on Truth Social. What are the main things that'll determine if it succeeds or fails in the next few months?
Well, the biggest thing is user growth. Can they get more people to use it beyond just Trump's core base? Because right now, those low user numbers are hurting them. They can't generate enough ad revenue, which is how they make most of their money.
And without enough money coming in, it's hard to imagine them lasting very long. Even the CNBC video pointed out that TMTG's own SEC filings say that they're worried about not getting enough users, not getting enough advertisers. So they know it's a problem.
Oh, for sure. And they've got a lot of competition, too, from other platforms that are similar, like Rumble and Telegram. So they need to figure out how to be different and offer something unique to get those users and advertisers.
So basically, they need to grow their user base, find ways to make money from those users, and beat out their competition.
Yeah.
Not easy.
Nope. And then there's the legal stuff, too. TMTG's CEO, Devin Nunes, said that there's been market manipulation by certain firms, although CNBC couldn't get a response from those firms for their report.
Yeah, that just adds another layer of complexity and uncertainty. And we can't forget that Trump himself is facing some legal challenges. That could cost him a lot of money.
Exactly. CNBC said it could be up to $550 million from all the lawsuits. So whether Truth Social succeeds or fails could affect his ability to deal with those legal issues.
Wow, so it's like everything is connected. The business, the politics, the legal battles, the future of social media.
It really is. It's like a perfect example of how things are today.
Okay, so we've got a lot to keep an eye on. User growth, advertising revenue, legal problems, competition, and of course Trump himself. Like, what's he saying on the platform, and how's he using it to reach his political goals?
Those are all good questions. And it's important to remember that what happens with Truth Social could affect more than just Trump and his followers.
You mean it could affect the whole internet and the future of social media?
Exactly. It's like a live experiment. How will a platform that's built around a specific ideology and for a specific audience actually work?
Yeah.
And could it affect the whole media landscape? It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating case study. It shows how social media, finance, and politics all intersect.
For sure. And it reminds us that those things are all connected and they affect each other.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what we should be looking out for. As this story continues to develop, what will you be watching closely in the next few months?
Well, I'll be watching Truth Social's user numbers.
Right.
Are they growing? Are they getting more diverse users? Or are they staying within that same core group?
Because if they don't get more users, they'll probably keep having financial problems.
Yeah, exactly. I'll also be looking at their ad revenue. Are they getting enough advertisers to actually make money and be sustainable? And how are they dealing with the lawsuits and the competition?
It's like they're juggling a bunch of things at once.
It really is.
And then, of course, there's Trump. How is he using the platform? What's he saying?
Yeah.
And how are people reacting to it?
Right. And it's not just about what he says on Truth Social. It's